Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer1745 here with my continuing playthrough of Hearts of Iron 3 Black Ice, and of course we're playing as Japan. Now, we now have a lot of world tension. The world sort of is at war. So sort of, because like the US is still nice and peaceful, and so is Mexico, and even the Soviet Union is mostly at peace now. We've got a few good things that I've sort of worked out I had to change here. We are going to go to key industry. We're going to go to most industries nationalized. How do I put this? This is... I'm sort of the... when you say nationalization, that is... an incorrect terminology for most countries, most conditions during the war. Now, what you did have was more and more, particularly I'm thinking of in Germany because I know it best, more and more centrally planned. But the factories were still very much considered to be owned by the owners of the factory, whether it could be a single individual, like a family, or it could be a mass-owned corporation. Could be like every single worker has a share of stock, or some of those kind of things. Now, of course, that share of stock may be worth $20 or something, back then, and so it's not like they're rich. It's just they own a piece of the pie, as it were. Before the war starts, it is very much in National Socialist Germany, the German government asking the big industries to do things, and the big industries thinking about it and maybe doing it. And it's very much where you have a bit more actually authority, though of course some of the big corporations are also very powerful in fascist Italy. You have a bit more central control, and definitely more ideological control of industry. The idea that the government should be controlling the economy in fascist Italy than you do in National Socialist economics. They're different. People lump them often together with just Nazism as an extra level of racism. Their ideologies are different, and in fact, I would say, because a lot of what the National Socialists do are con jobs, I would say that the National Socialists tricked a lot of Germans and a lot of other countries into believing that they were fascists and that they should be aligned with the fascists, when in fact they very much were not fascist and had very different goals and agendas. And now, of course, and with the hammer and sickle there, where you get, primarily in the Soviet Union at the time, 100% government ownership of basically every major industrial, economic, food-producing element is government controlled, owned, whatever. So you have that. In America, of course, you have a free market economic system, but you don't. In America, under the Constitution, the federal government really can't touch the economy unless it specifically goes between states. But they had a court ruling during the Great Depression that FDR managed to make worse, because he passed had federal regulations, and so it only becomes theoretical. So it even got down to sort of home farmers, people with literally like a largish, what we in America call backyard. In England they sort of call it garden, back garden, whatever you want to call it, that was growing food commercially, on a small scale to sort of sell in the local town kind of thing. Well, you could theoretically be someone from an out of state could buy it or transfer it. So since then, the federal government has really gotten involved in, I think entirely unconstitutionally, involved in the U.S. economy, the federal government regulations. And we go, yeah, we want, because, trust me, I want, and I know I haven't been reading all of the comments here closely, but I want to address this. I want safe food too, food safety and product safety. I'm not suggesting there shouldn't be that. What I'm suggesting is, in America's sense, should it be the federal government doing it or the state governments? See, that's the key. And what is good for, say, Maine may not be good regulation-wise, may not be good for Texas. And this is what I think I see facing in Europe under the EU. I think it was Portugal or Spain or both. Certain farm industries have basically died because of EU regulation, because it's sort of based on what's good for Germany or France and not good, locally. And so when you get to, and this just has come up, I hadn't planned on talking about this, the idea of planned economies. When you plan economies out on such great scale, you're going to have problems. Now, that doesn't mean you shouldn't have any economic planning, because, yes, free markets are great and wonderful. But if you don't have some sense of a national plan or national idea, hey, tobacco sells great, or maybe we could say something a little bit more modern. Pot, marijuana sells great, and hey, let's say, and because I don't know this, but let's just theoretically say it grows in any condition. So why don't all the farmers start growing marijuana, and we could export it to the world? Yeah, great. But what about your food? So you need food. Oh, well, we'll just import it. Well, what if everybody? Now, obviously, not everybody's going to go growing that either in your nation or in the world. But if enough shift over in a region, in a whatever, you can really mess up your necessary food elements. So you need some level of the idea of planning, of encouragement, which could be tax breaks. It doesn't have to be at any level someone from the government coming and telling you, you will plant this. No, it's just like, hey, if you grow soybeans, we'll give you, a tax break or something. You need some idea of that. And on a national level also, you need the idea of, let's see, we need bullets for our army. Well, do we want to make them ourselves, or do we want to import them? And when you get to the idea that you have to import everything, now, of course, if you're a small nation, you may not have a choice. But if you get to where you have to import some critical resources that you should be able to build, you could be at a national disadvantage. So some level of planning, of ideas, is needed. But the bigger the plan, the bigger the scale, the bigger the problems. And that's sort of, I guess, my point with this. This isn't a point about, again, in America, we're having a lot of controversy. Yes, it may, you're right, Eds. You're right about that. And so you can see how that would balance itself out, because food prices would skyrocket and such. But you get my point, is the idea. Even if it's a food product, you want a balanced food. So we have a lot of regulations, and like one that's coming to mind is a minimum wage. I am pro the idea of a minimum wage. I am anti the idea of a minimum wage for the United States. I'm pro a minimum wage for Arizona. I'm pro for California, for Texas. I'm pro for a minimum wage for each and every state, because what I pay in rent, you could be easily making monthly payments or less monthly payments, for ownership for like a 4-bedroom house in probably half of the United States, what I pay for rent in an apartment in California. So what it costs to live in different parts of the United States are greatly different. So the minimum wages should be different for different parts. And it needs to be decided on a more local basis, the idea of states. And that way, if you have cheap or cheaper cost of living in some states, they can lower the minimum wage, so manufacturers can come in and build a factory and have more workers for it cheaper. And there is AZ's brings up a good idea that, and that's very true, that maybe on a scale of business you can have it so a mom and pop grocery store could theoretically employ and pay their children some money, or a neighborhood person, doesn't have to be a family member, a neighborhood person to work for a cheaper amount of money than a large mass factory. That there is some legitimacy to that. But the idea is that, say in Oklahoma, where it is fairly cheap to live, you could build a factory, pay the people half as much as you do in California, but those people would actually have a higher standard of living, meaning because of their food, their gasoline, because gasoline is the highest in the state of California, partially because we have a lot of taxes on the gas in California, and partially is because they have a special blend of gas that only is sold in California, and you cannot sell other blends from other regions. So we have high gas prices. So you can have less money but better standards of living within the American economy in other places. So that's some of the stuff. So nationalization, and obviously for a wartime situation, you want to coordinate how many bullets of what caliber do you need, that kind of thing. So, but we're going to do this. So I'm just sort of objecting more to the title than to the effects. And it got me on that rant, I know. And we are going to go from partial mobilization to war economy, because we're at war. And that has not left us enough, but as soon as we get up there, we are going to go to a expanded draft to deal with our manpower issues. No, that was a lot of talking for the beginning of the episode. Now let's get in for planning our crushing of Western China. Okay, these guys are all moving in on the last remnants. You come up this way. Okay, you guys are going that way. You're coming to crush them. These partisans can attack those partisans there. Okay, Tippett, I get your idea that you believe that they are bigger so that they can afford it. That's not true, and not a good justification for requiring a company to pay more for minimum wage, because as like Azad says, that you're gonna go to robots or other things. The idea that the main idea, in my opinion, to have potentially higher minimum wage for a mass corporation is because it's in effect going to control more of the economy. Meaning, if the only jobs you're going to find are mass industry, large things, and they're only going to pay X amount of money, you're going to be forced to go to work for them. But let's just say someone needs part-time housekeeper, because they're older and they can't take care of the house well enough, they can't get around, but they can afford to have someone come in a couple, 2-3 times a week to sort of do some housekeeping chores for them. So now, of course, this part-time person may only work part-time or may have 2 or 3 of these jobs. You can go, hey, I can employ a person locally that can come in and say, I'll pay you $3 an hour to do some work instead of $6 an hour or something like that. And so you can have that kind of thing, and so it's a smaller amount of the economy, and it's also the idea that if there's no one willing to work for that because the larger corporations are paying more, then people won't take the jobs and they won't be forced to take the jobs. So it's more on that scale. A lot of corporations, trust me, they work on the big ones, a lot of them, not all, on very small margins. They make all their money because of scale of economy, and if you have to push up everybody's cost of employing, for every employee by 4 or 5%, you could break the corporation. It's quite possible. So okay. Do these? Yeah, maybe. Keep moving west. Yeah, you're right, Azad's, that it comes down to capitalism, and when you have the Eastern China, we're waiting to kill. I'm going to kill this off, and then I'm going to shift the forces that I'm using to kill off we got to deal with up here. Still, okay. They're trying to break out. I'm just trying to remember where we're at. Once we deal with this, then I'm going to shift these forces to the east here. Right now I'm just containing it. It's just a containment operation, really. Well, I may see about trying to push into a couple little places, but it's a containment operation. When you have capitalism, you have this is a problem in my country right now. Is we have a group of labor that is flooding into the country, so it's increasing labor that isn't American. And I'm not against foreigners, it's just I'm for Americans before I'm for other people. I do have a priority that way. And 2, since hiring these people is illegal, so you can pay them less than the legal wage. So they drive the price of labor down. In places like, you say, in India, you're going to have cheaper labor because you have lots of people. Now, and so you'll find the market price. That's capitalism, and that works. The problem is if you have large industries controlling the labor market, it's no longer, in essence, capitalism. It is, if you will, sort of either sort of a monopoly situation or a fascist type situation, so that they are the ones that are setting the labor prices. So that's sort of the situation there. Okay, can't read this too well. The Empire of Japan demands French Indochina. Yes, I thought that's... We already got that. We're good. Okay. And so you need to have that sort of flow. Attack there. Counterattack. Join the attack. Well, let's take a look at it. Okay, you're still going to go to clean up that. See if we can take that province. You can help See, I'm all for making pushes like we've taken out all of those divisions. It was more than 7 divisions there. Okay, and you guys come here. So we killed more than 7 divisions in Wuhan. We're holding along that river. I want to push to at least this river here. Okay, and we can improve our government again. And we're going to come here and go to expanded draft. No, we have enough kids, Azads. We really do, quite honestly. Here's the problem. No one wants to work in farm labor because it's hard work. And the farmers don't pay very much. Why? The farmers don't pay very much? Because they can import cheap labor, illegal labor from outside of the United States. So either, and I'm for regulated labor people coming in, meaning regulated in the sense that they get permission from the government to come in, and we control who and how much and what's going on. I may agree or disagree with a particular government plan on how many people and what they should be paid and where they should be allowed to work, but that's fine. You know, but the government needs to control who comes in, how, and why, and that's good. But if we have a flood of unregulated foreign labor coming in, then they force labor prices down. But at some point, we may get a big roaring economy and need more labor, and that's great. And I'm all for people coming in under the right conditions. Okay, so trying to crush this last little holdout up here. You support that. How are we doing for occupation troops? Not yet. Okay. We need more of those. I need one more division up here, it looks like. So, put you guys on trains, get up here, hold that province. You come up to there. You push on them. More partisan outbreaks. Okay. Use the garrison forces, take them down. Okay, so we've secured that port. Good. And we are here. support that attack. Okay, rear area bombardment. Very nice. Yes, they are, Django. What a lot of those are is these things here. You'll get more various tactics to use at any one time. At least that's my understanding of them. And so it should be effective. Okay, now that we've taken it out, come on. There we go. Good, we've cut off all those and overrun them and overrun some more. Now, don't want to come across that river. See if we can come up here and cut them off. How are we doing back over here? Okay, well, Second Vienna Awards, how nice for them. So these are much harder fights for us because they're much better equipped units. Let's move these guys to there. Make sure they don't break our line. to there. Convoy interdiction. That will be very useful for us. Not until we're done with China. We're not, no need to naval invade here. I think we're just going to push in and crush that. Uh-oh, they've cut off our cavalry there. Okay. You support that attack. Okay, save that unit. That's good. Now here, oh, just push there. You guys just push up to there. Okay. Treaty of Karayova. And research finished for air warning radar. Very good. Now, improved. Okay, so what we need to do is come over here, I think. Oh, so we need to get to that. Well, let's do that. Type B1, very good. Okay, so we've got the type B1s here. Those have our aircraft carrying submarines. Very nice. Wartime expansion. That we need centimetric radar. Very good. We don't have it yet. Magnetic detonators. Basically, these didn't work during World War II. Not that they wouldn't work, but they didn't work well. Closer you get to the equator, the more they get messed up. So it varies on where you're operating. Also, because, okay, the whole idea is that you want to concentrate your explosive effort, and underwater the explosions are going to take the path of least resistance. That's why you see a sort of straight up geyser of water when you have an detonation under the water, even some considerable waves, because there's less resistance straight up than there is resistance to either side and pushing down. I mean, it will push down and it will push to the side, the explosion, but most of the energy will be focused upward. So if you detonate a submarine or a torpedo at the side of a ship, a bunch of the explosion will go into the ship, but a lot of it will go up. So if you can have it go under the ship, and then once it's under the ship, trip the detonator and have it blows up, you're going to do a lot more damage. But the magnetic detonators didn't work out well. Some worked better than others, and I don't mean just from torpedo. I mean from some types worked better than others. But sometimes you'd have premature detonations, or you just wouldn't detonate at all. So don't necessarily work. Though, of course, obviously this is just something that improves attack, but we need several different radar improvements, so we're going to come and do that first. Okay, I'm trying to overrun these guys and trap them. Trap this whole evacuating army here. Oh, everything. We won the war. Oh, where are you going? I wanted you to come up here. No, I messed that up, didn't I? You guys, yeah, you guys come up to there. Oh, we got another bunch of these to kill. Yeah, once you get there, then you come this way. Kill them off. Well, actually, let's send you there. You there. Fall of Cairo, which we already sort of knew it happened, but I guess we finally have the event for it. So Italy's doing well. Germany's doing okay. They're pushing up. Norway. Yeah, they're doing all right. And they're war in Europe. Okay, well here, let's push down into here. You support, don't join, support the attack. And, oh, shoot, okay. Expanded Kobe works very good. It gives us more able. Pressure Siam, befriend Siam. Okay, issue ultimatum to Siam. Does anybody have any ideas on this one? On Siam? Which way would be best to go? Pressure or befriend them? Well, before we do that, we're going to end the episode here. Not this live stream, so any of you people out there watching. Probably not effectively, AZads. Okay. Thanks for watching. Thanks for liking the videos. I really do appreciate that. And of course, please post questions, comments, suggestions, ideas. Love hearing from you. See you next time for more Hearts of Iron.